Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be looking at all of the highest rated books that I have read on Goodreads. And now these are not the highest rated according to me, these are the highest rated according to their Goodreads ratings. And I'm going to react and see if I agree with the Goodreads ratings and see if it aligns with what I rated the book, or to see if I have some unpopular opinions here. I do plan on doing this same video concept as well for the lowest rated to see if I do have unpopular opinions on the other side of this as well. And I have no idea what to expect. I've not looked at all at Goodreads yet, so I'm very curious. So let's go ahead and start recording my screen and see what Goodreads has to say about some of these books that I've read. All right, so here we are. I'm going to go ahead and go to all of my read books, and we're going to sort by the average rating. Okay, that is the opposite way. Okay, here we go. Okay, wow, Words of Radiance has such a high rating, and I read the UK editions of the Stormlight books originally, so those are the split editions. So these are probably not the same rating as just the normal edition of the book, but I'm sure they're still very similar, where they're so highly rated. And obviously I agree, because I gave Words of Radiance, Way of Kings 5 stars. Oathbringer I think I gave 4.5, but I still rounded up to 5 on Goodreads, so this is no surprise. I agree with all of the Stormlight ratings. All right, Phineas Fogg. This was a self-published book that was sent to me by the author. Wow, that is a really impressive rating. Let's see how many ratings it has. That's really, really good. 29. Okay, so it's still not super well known, and guys, this is a really good one. This was really fun. It was very long. It's 770 pages. Yeah, it's very long, but it's like this really fun high fantasy book that's set in like this jungle setting and had this really great cast of characters and kind of like this almost school-like setting. I really enjoyed this one. So the few people who did read it really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a little long. I think it could have been shortened a little bit, but it was still so much fun. So, I mean, that's very impressive. Even with 29 ratings, that's still really, really good. Okay, Just Mercy. Oh my gosh, by Bryan Stevenson. Of course, I gave that 5 stars. That was amazing. I listened to that one on audio. It's a nonfiction about this lawyer who was working with death row convicts and people who were unjustly convicted of crimes they didn't commit. And it's really incredible. It's so good. I can't recommend that one enough. And obviously I agree with its very high rating. Kingdom of Ash. This one I liked. I did give it 4 stars, so I do agree for the most part. But I think the problem with me towards the end of the Throne of Glass series, they always had these really epic battles and conclusions at the end of the books, but we never really got to see the planning and the maneuvering of how our chess pieces were all set up. It was kind of like Selena, the main character, would just make all these plans in secret, and then all of a sudden you would learn about them with the other characters, and it would be like this big surprise. Maybe that was more of, that was for sure at the end of Empire of Storms how I felt. Maybe that wasn't so much with Kingdom of Ash, but I just remember this being really long. So, I mean, it's fine. It's good. It was fine. It was 4 stars. I don't necessarily think it deserves that high of a rating. That's really good, but you know, it's good. Tribes of the Emerald Sea, that one's new. I wonder how many ratings it already has. Let's see. Wow, it's already over 17,000 and it still has that high of a rating. I mean, I agree with that rating. I think this might be one of my favorite Sanderson novels. I can't say it's better than Stormlight. That definitely still is my top tier Sanderson, but this might be up there. I don't know if it beats Warbreaker for me. Warbreaker is like one of my favorite fantasy books ever, and that one's really good. So I did love Trust though. 5 stars for sure. Court of Mist and Fury. I will admit I loved the second book in this trilogy, or I guess it's not a trilogy anymore, but yeah, I loved it. I do agree with that high rating. Crooked Kingdom, yes. Yes, I agree. I loved Crooked Kingdom. I think I liked Crooked Kingdom even more than I liked Six of Crows. And Six of Crows was really good too. But I just love these characters. And at the time I'm filming this, the next season of the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix hasn't come out yet. But I'm so excited to watch it. It looks so good. And we're getting more of our crows. Oh, it's so good. So I think this duology definitely deserves the hype. The Nightingale, one of my favorites. All right, let's try to find something where maybe I don't agree, because so far I do agree. Okay, Empire of Storms. This is the one. This is the one that I was like, I was reading all of it and you were like building up to this big thing, and then all these things happen at the end and you didn't see any of the planning for it, and Selena's just like, surprise, I planned all of this behind your backs. Look how well it's going. It was like, it was so frustrating to not be able to see that planning. So this has such a high rating, and I'm not surprised. It's Throne of Glass, but man, oh man, I was disappointed for sure. This is my least favorite of all of the Throne of Glass books, so that one I would disagree with the high rating. All the rest of these though, I'm totally in alignment so far with the average rating. Let's go find something a little more interesting here. Still in alignment. Fury Song and Hollow Pox I gave 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed them. Man, oh man. Okay, so here's maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. When I read it, I liked it. I thought it was really good. I definitely thought Evelyn Hugo herself was an incredibly well-written character, and it was a very intriguing story, and I loved the format of it, but I wasn't head over heels obsessed with it. And I read it kind of before it blew up, because this book is now so popular, so I didn't really have any expectations going into it. And then when I saw the reaction from a lot of people who were picking it up, being like, oh my god, it's the best book I've ever read, it's the best book I've ever written, it's amazing. I don't know if people are saying that, but it was like, oh my gosh, this book was so beloved. And I was like, I mean, it was good, but was it that good? I don't know. So maybe that's a little bit of an unpopular opinion. I didn't obsess over Evelyn Hugo. I still prefer Daisy Jones and Malibu Rising over Evelyn Hugo. So let's see, what else? Oh my gosh, some of these Outlander books, towards the middle of the Outlander books, like books 4, 5, 6, 7 was when it started getting really long and very tedious. So yeah, An Echo in the Bone, I think that was probably my least favorite one, and I don't remember the exact plot points from it because I read the Outlander books so close together, so all of the plot points and like what happens in which one blends together in my mind. So I can't directly call out like why An Echo in the Bone specifically got the slowest rating from me, but that one, I remember it being so long, and I remember skimming some of it just to get through it because I was like, oh my god, this is way too long. So yeah, maybe that's an unpopular opinion. Oh wow, I gave this one 3 stars. And I also read the Game of Thrones, the A Song of Ice and Fire editions in the split editions. So A Dance with Dragons kind of happens in parallel with everything happening in A Feast for Crows, I want to say. And so A Dance with Dragons, I think, followed all of the perspectives that I didn't care as much about. And I just wanted to go back to all the other characters. I didn't write anything. I never review the books because I talk about them on my channel, but I'm pretty sure that this is the one that was following characters that I just really didn't care about. Because I remember loving A Storm of Swords. That was the best one, and I read a split edition, which is why it's not rated right here. But yeah, A Feast for Crows was the one that I liked more, and then A Dance with Dragons I wasn't as big of a fan of because I just didn't care about the perspectives as much. So yeah, I guess I gave that one 3 stars. I guess I was a little bored by it. Bands of Mourning, I just was not a huge fan of Era 2 on my first read. I am going to reread that entire series, including Mistborn Era 1 and Era 2, because I have The Lost Metal on my shelf, and my husband's read it, and he's like, oh, Jessie, you don't even know what's coming in The Lost Metal. He's getting me so excited. But I don't remember anything from Era 2, so I have to reread all of the Mistborn books. So maybe upon a second read, I'll like Bands of Mourning more. We'll see. We'll see. So most of these I'm pretty much in agreement with on the very high ratings. A couple of these I see that I gave 4 stars, but most of them I do agree with. So yeah, I guess I have really popular opinions. Oh, and Breath Becomes Air. That was an unpopular opinion for me. I remember just not getting much from that book. That was a nonfiction that I read kind of on a whim. And it was about a neurosurgeon kind of contemplating life after he's diagnosed with lung cancer, and I thought it was going to be like this really powerful book that I just couldn't get out of my mind and kept thinking about, and I just remember kind of walking away from it not having gotten a whole lot from it. So it just wasn't what I was expecting at all, and that's all I really remember, because I think this was, yeah, I read this in 2019, so I don't remember too much. That's 4 years ago at this point. So yeah, unfortunately I can't say too much more about what I thought of that one. Okay, I'm gonna go one more page. So this is the last page that I have to react to. And the first one on here, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Did I give this 2.5 and round up to 3? Or did I really give this 3? Yeah, I gave it 3. Okay, Love in Other Words, I remember really not liking the main love interest. Like, did not like him at all. And I think that this was much more of like a childhood friends to lovers book, and I didn't buy the childhood friendship love thing at all, but I am so in the minority on that opinion, because obviously so many people love this book. It's 4.34, which is very good. Yeah, I just did not connect to this romance, this relationship. I didn't buy it. I didn't like the main character. I didn't like the main love interest. I think, if I recall, there was this big blow up that all resulted from miscommunication, which is my biggest pet peeve in romance. If the entire conflict of the book solely relies on miscommunication and the people just not talking to each other, I can't stand it. So yeah, was not a huge fan of Love in Other Words, unfortunately. A Gentleman in Moscow, this one is beautifully written. It has wonderful characters, this really unique setting. It was a little boring. I'm sorry. It was really slow. It didn't have much plot. I did like the characters. I remember there's this like little girl character that I really liked, and her relationship with the main character I really liked, but that was pretty much it. So I thought it was like fine. It was fine, but it was a little boring for me. The Burning God. Oh, yeah, here's where we're getting into unpopular opinions. Yeah, I was really disappointed by the end of the Poppy War. I love the Poppy War, and I love the Dragon Republic so much. And then the Burning God, there was something in that book. There was a whole section of that book dedicated to this journey that Ren had to take, and it ended up being completely pointless. And I was like, why did I just spend all that time going through and doing this thing that was about nothing? Oh my gosh, it drove me nuts. And I just, yeah, was not a huge fan of the direction of the characters. I thought some of the characters that I had loved in previous books kind of took a back seat, or they became a lot more passive, and I just didn't love that. So yeah, I just was not a huge fan of the Burning God. So, oh my gosh, Pachinko. I've seen so much love for this book, and I can totally see why it's so beloved. It's a beautiful, like, epic historical fiction that follows this really unique time period that I hadn't read anything about. It was this Korean family during this really turbulent time with Japan, and it was a period of history that I really like wanted to know more about after reading this book. The problem was I really, really didn't like how bleak and how hopeless this felt. It, like, every wrong thing that could have happened in this book, and it left me feeling so upset. And I think that was the point of the book, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, like, that can be a testament to how well this author wrote this book. It like, very personal preference wise, just had no enjoyment of this book. There wasn't like a single moment where I was like, yeah, I'm excited to pick this one up again and get lost in it. It was like, oh no, what's gonna happen next? Oh, it's worse than I was expecting. So yeah, that was one that was just really tough for me to read, but I think that was the point of it. But yeah, that's why I just really didn't enjoy that one. And then The Rage of Dragons, this is a very unpopular opinion as well. I really can't stand Tao. He is one of my least favorite fantasy characters I think I've ever read about, and I really didn't like the magic in this, and the writing was very melodramatic. Like, every chapter ended with like, and then Tao would get his revenge at last, and you're like, oh my god, okay, get on with it. I just really didn't like this. Okay, we are getting into some really unpopular opinions here. The Defiant Heir, I'm actually surprised that one's rated so highly. I really, really liked the first book in this series, which is The Tethered Mage, but then I thought that The Defiant Heir turned all of the villains into the melodramatic stereotypes of villains, like the mustache twirling villains, and I really, really didn't like the dialogue. Some of the characters started acting in a way that I just was like, this, you're very immature, like, what is this? Wasn't a fan of the direction that the like character development went in for that second one, so I did not continue on with that series. And then the 5th season, I know, everyone loves it. I can see, this one I can totally understand why so many people love it. It truly is one of the most unique and well plotted and well executed books, with one of the most fascinating twists at the end. Truly, it was worth reading to experience that twist at the end, because it was so expertly done. The problem was I didn't love the writing style, and I didn't love any of the characters or the world. Even though I could appreciate it, it wasn't like something that it wasn't a writing style I personally connected with. And that was, I read The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin as well. And I think N.K. Jemison's prose just is not going to be the writing style for me. I do have the first book of the Inheritance trilogy. I've heard that one is really good. So I'm going to give N.K. Jemisin another shot, because I really want to like N.K. Jemison's works. So the Inheritance trilogy, I'm going to try that one and see if that's the one for me. But yeah, unfortunately, the 5th season, can totally understand why it's so award-winning, why it's so beloved, but it just was not personally for me. So I gave it 3 stars. All right, I think that might be, yeah, that's it. That's all of my unpopular opinions that I have for the most well-rated books on my Goodreads shelf. So I'm curious what you thought of this video. What are some of your most unpopular opinions? What are books that everyone seems to love that you just don't get? I would love to know. So leave those comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.